current and future direction of the food science and technology. To start, I would like to present here the definition. I think Professor Hardinsa already mentioned that most of you familiar with this field, obviously. So this is a definition coming from Institute of Food Technologies. This is mentioning that food science is the study of the physical, biological, and chemical makeup of food, the causes of food deterioration, and also the concept underlying food processing. So this is the science itself. And if we're talking about the food technology itself, is the application of food science to the selection, preservation, processing, packaging, distribution, and use of safe food. Okay, so there are several unit operation over there, preservation, processing, packaging, and so on. But I would like to focus on food processing. Okay, and I took also the definition from Institute of Food Technologies as well. Food processing is the treatment of food substances by changing their properties to preserve it, improve its quality, or make it functionally more useful. So this is very much technological definition. And in my opinion, the key word here is to preserve it, improve its quality, and to make it functionally more useful. In other words, the role of food science and technology is to make value addition, to add value or to create value of the food that we process. So this is a very important, in my opinion. And in order to be able to add some value, first thing first, this is the quote from the Lord Kelvin mentioning that we have to understand what we are doing. So especially when we're talking about the value, because to measure is to know. This is according to him. And if you cannot measure it, and you mean that you cannot improve it. So if you would like to improve the value of food, first thing first, you have to be able somehow to measure. I don't know if this is very easy to do, but at least I would like to propose to you about the value of food. In my perspective, we have a simple formula here, because the value of food is a multiplication of safety aspect of it times the quality aspect of it. Okay, we would like to discuss this further. When we're talking about the quality, we have two factors, Q1 and Q2. Q1 is something that you, as a food technologist, for example, like to improve, so that the result of division Q1 divided by Q2 will be improved. Or Q2 itself is something that would like to minimize, because the lesser the Q2, the result, the food value will be better. Okay, so what are those? Okay, we're talking about this simple value, and the current and I believe also the future role of food science, of food technologies, is to add or to create a value of food. Then that means the food science and technology, first thing first, have to be able to assure the safety of the food that we will be consuming. Number two is to maximize the wanted or the desired properties of the food, which are many. And last but not least is to minimize the unwanted aspect of the food. Okay, so if we do this properly, rightly, with the right contact, then this is the function or the role of food science and technologies now and also in the future. What are the factors that need to be studied and controlled in trying to add this value? Number one is quantity. Okay, we know that the population is growing, so the need of the food in the right quantity is paramount important. So we need somehow try to produce more food, because again, as of now, also the situation is not very good, so that the need for more food is apparent. So the quantity, how to improve the quantity. But if we're talking about food, the quantity is not enough. So we need also to maintain or to improve the nutritional aspect of the food. And when we're talking about nutrition, and this is the whole discussion, and I don't want to go into it. And other thing, when talking about food, we need to take care about the appearance of the food, the sensory aspect of the food, the texture, the flavor, the taste, and also the color of food. These all are important properties, especially if we're talking about to be able to be consumed in enough amount, okay? But that's not stop there. We need also to consider the functionality of the food that we are developing, the food that we are producing. How about the eco-friendliness of the process that we are applying, the durability, the ethic, the fairness, for example, and also more and more people talking about the sustainability and many more. I put over here, etc. You see here, you can improve it, you can explore it further. There are many other aspects that we can put on our food when we are developing. What are the unwanted aspect? Number one is price. You know, we don't want higher price, so we would like to reduce so that the division of the Q1 and divided by Q2 will be higher. So if we can produce in more effective and efficient way, so that the price will be reduced, that's a contribution, important contribution from food scientists or food technologists. But that's only price, not only price, but we also try to reduce time to prepare of our food. We don't want to complex in terms of the food, the packaging, for example. So handling complexity need to be reduced. And also the meter or the transport or the mileage of the food. The local food is very important, which did not transfer much. So, and any other aspect of it. So all of this is a quality factor of food, okay? You might want to put the emphasis on nutrition, for example, but all of this in combination, in my opinion, is the quality factor of the food. But if we're talking about the food, quality is not enough. First thing first, we need to consider safety. In my country, in Indonesia, there are two aspects of safety factor. Number one is S1, and number two is S2, obviously. This is a prerequisite of the food, because as I mentioned before, first thing first, food has to be safe, okay? Why there are two? Because I'm referring to, this is just explanation why it is prerequisite, because if it is not safe, then it is not food. This is the FAO mentioning about this, okay? According to law of the Republic of Indonesia, law number 18 2012, food safety is defined. There are two factors over there. Number one, mentioning that the food need to be maintained in such a way that biological, chemical, and other objects that may interfere or endanger harm to human health is managed properly. So this is what I call as a physiological safety. But the definition is not ended there. The definition adds that the food also not conflicting with religion, belief, and also culture of the society. This is psychological aspect of safety, okay? So these are very important. There are two aspects. First, physiological safety is usually governed by the food safety standard. For example, there is a standard about maximum residue level, microbial criteria of food, for example, allergen, and there is some other guideline how to comply with this standard, for example, code of practices, and so on and so on. And this is usually, in my opinion, the number is between 0 and 1. 0 meaning not comply, and between 0 and 1 is comply, depending on the degree of the compliance. But when we're talking about the psychological safety, this is something that yes or no. For example, if you are vegetarian and the question is whether or not the food product contain animal product or not, okay, there is no distinction, or there is no gradient of that. Organic, the same thing, but more importantly, in terms of the religion, for example, when halal, so there is no such thing as 99% halal. So a Muslim consumer demand 100% halal, meaning that as a constant, as a prerequisite factor of the food, the S1, the psychological aspect, the value is either 0 or 1. So not 0 or between 1, meaning that anything, how good the food is, nutritional wise, the sensory wise, but if it is not comply with the psychological standard of halal, for example, for Muslim country, and the value will be 0. Okay, so this is very important. So back to this simple definition, simple formula, we need trend now. We try to study, if we're talking about the role of the future direction of the food science and technology. What we can do is, first thing first, we need to, number one, to assure the aspect of psychological safety. This is a safety according to the faith or religion or culture or belief of the society, of the consumer, halal as an example. Number two, the safety of physiological safety, okay? So factor like a contaminant, for example, how to control the contaminant, and more importantly, people also pay attention a lot more on health. So the nutrition aspect, the functionality aspect of the food is very important. Number two, more and more people pay attention about the sustainability. So the eco-friendliness, sustainability, ethic, and also mileage, food mileage or food meter is very important. Number four, because we are talking about food, the enjoyment, the pleasure aspect is also very important. And number five is about the convenience. People don't have time, so they need to have food that are very convenient. Is very important, not too complex, for example. And very important thing, especially for country that have a lot of part of the population is still under economic pressure. So the affordability is very important. How to afford food in a certain amount of quantity, but the price is affordable. This is very important. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, and a lot more things. What are the lot more things? The value. This is the future. This value, the etc. value is very important. More and more important. For example, here, people valuing food from the local food a lot more. So supporting local food producer, there is a certain value of that. And then appreciating the workmanship or the art of the food is becoming more and more important as well. People also valuing more about where food come from. Is that from the regions, certain region, or come from the local, for example? This is very important. And also people value more about the involvement of small farmer and many more. So I think this is becoming, the story behind the food is becoming more and more important in the future. So in my opinion, this is the future direction of food science and technology, how to produce safer, more nutritious, and more sustainable food. Obviously, that has to come from the sustainable food system. That's why attention about local food producer, local farmer, small farmer is becoming more and more important. So this is my opinion. So consequently, the future of food science and technology education, in my opinion, need to incorporate and also understand more about social and societal problem related to food. So this is to make what they are doing as a technologist, as a scientist, relevant to the society. For example, issue of health and nutrition status of the population. How can we improve that? Issue related to sustainable development goals, for example. This is also very important as how, as a food science and technologies, can contribute to the betterment of the indicator related to the sustainable development goal. And especially in Indonesia, for example, issue of halal food, for example. This is very important because as a Muslim country, this is a very important aspect of it. As I mentioned, as a constant or prerequisite of the food, the value is either 1 or 0. So we have to make sure that all of the food in Indonesia has a value of 1, not in between, and we don't want certainly zero, for example. This is very important. And also, again, specifically in Indonesia, issue related to food security, food independence, and food sovereignty is very important. So I just want to give you a little bit illustration about that just before I stop my presentation. This is the Twitter. This is Twitter coming from FAO, that mentioning that food is, they have a lot of value, not only from nutritional aspect of it, but food is basically life. Food is love. Food is energy. Food is culture. Food is nutrition. And more importantly, food is human right. So we can add that. Not only that, we can also say that food is an art. Food is pride, dignity, identity, security, and sovereignty. So everybody dealing with the food, I think they need to take good consideration, good thought about this. And the future direction of food science and technology education, in my opinion, need to be developed, need to be socially constructed, meaning that they need also to address the social and societal value of the food. With that, I would like to thanks for this opportunity, Professor Hardinsyah, and hopefully we can discuss further about this very important aspect, and I hope I can contribute to the discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, today I would like to thank you and also to talk on behalf of IUNS. I think it's a good opportunity to talk about important areas such as international nutrition, planetary nutrition, personalized nutrition, and population nutrition. I would like to integrate all of this concept within the precision nutrition notion in order that we give accuracy, detail, care, specificity, validity, to be rigorous, fair, right, and control. A few words about IUNS. IUNS is an International Union of Nutritional Science, was founded in 1946. There are 11 members of the council, and we have organizations related with us, such as the International Science Council, the World Health Organization, and the Food and Agriculture Organization. We have 18 affiliated societies, including the Asian Society Federation, and we have about 81 adhering bodies. Of course, the International Union have important mission and objectives, such as the advancement in nutritional science, and also communication and collaboration. Therefore, the vision, the end point is to live a life without malnutrition is a fundamental right. Therefore, we have important focus on obesity, malnutrition, food and nutrition problems, and training for nutritionists. The current task forces involve nutrition and cancer, precision nutrition, sustainable diet, benefit rate of cost effectiveness and micronutrient intervention, dietary fat quality, prevention and control malnutrition, international malnutrition, traditional, indigenous, and cultural food and nutrition, and finally, toward multidimensional indicator of growth and development. An important point is to remember which are our action points. Attention to adhering bodies, such as the Indonesian Nutrition Society, education and online courses, the implementation task forces, the preparation of documents related to conflict of interest, the regulation with the private sector, unrestricted grant seeking, guidelines for council member and meeting planning, and of course the organization of the ICN IUNS Congress in Japan 2021 that we hope will be all together. But for young nutritionists all around the world, Indonesia, Asia, Africa, Latin America, Europe, and America, we have a capacity building committee, which involves a web-page information about e-learning courses around the world, a scholarship to attend regional meetings, collaboration with regional leadership programs, re-entry grants, funds to cover the fees in selected online courses. We cover the inscription on some online courses, workshop of IUNS, ICN related to capacity building, and of course, to prepare documents related with capacity building. But as I mentioned, for us, the precision nutrition have three focuses. I am going to start with planetary health and sustainable nutrition. As mentioned by the previous speaker, planetary nutrition is concerned with the global trends in stunting and overweight children. As you can see here, stunting is decreasing, but unfortunately, overweight and obesity have increasing rates. This is important because nutrition, as measured as height for age to age, is related with attained schooling. But also, we know that the nutrition in the perinatal period and the relative weight gain during early life is related with health in the adult life. Therefore, it's important for us as a planetary nutrition scope to consider what is called the 1,000 days health. In this case, it's important to remember the treated phenotype theory, where type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome situation depend on the birth weight. Also, I mentioned that planetary nutrition is not only undernutrition, but also obesity and overnutrition. Health prevalence is a public health burden and have important aspects related with well-being, impaired quality of life, and self-esteem. There are many manifestations like hypertension, hyperuricemia, dyslipidemia, diabetes, etc. At the end, mortality is increased. You can see a situation of overweight has an impact on mortality. But is the role of planetary nutrition and planetary lifestyle and well-being to identify predictors like physical activity, sedentary state, fast food, and family history of obesity. Therefore, I am going to check to consider which are the causes of obesity considered as a planetary scope. You can see here, there is increase in portion size, there is increase in sedentarism, and as you can see here, the trend have changed for the 1950s to the 2000s. The cars and television have increased dramatically. The oversitting and sport are affecting obesity classification. Fat in the food and the intake is related with the BMI. Of course, dietary energy density is related with weight change. Portions are involved in planetary nutrition. Food choice, some food can protect against obesity, other can induce obesity. Soft drinks are related with obesity. Fast food is related with obesity. Snacking is related with obesity. Eating away from home is related to obesity. Sleeping hours is related, as you know, is important aspect in some cultures. That moves to precision public health actions. Some of them could be related with tax. Some of them could be related with eat less and exercise more. And this can be achieved through recommendation to assess obesity, but also to treatment. How International Union is concerned with planetary nutrition? Through task forces. We have the International Malnutrition Task Force, and we have towards multidimensional index to child growth as a task force of IUNS. But as I mentioned, I would like also to talk about population health. a public health nutrition. As you see here, population nutrition concerned with establishing, setting up nutrient recommendation targeted to prevent disease and to promote health. That means that we need to finish to define reference intakes based on epidemiological and population studies to improve health of the general population. But also, we need to consider interindividual difference as well as high group risk to define population nutrition. What is clear at food and physical activity is related with prevention of coronary heart disease, that fish consumption has been related with cardiovascular disease risk, that olive oil and nuts have relation with systolic pressure, that these foods have benefit on insulin levels and in cholesterol levels. Of course, omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids has been related with the lipid profile. That means that we need to create or develop a population nutrition based on pattern. For example, the Mediterranean dietary pattern. You can see here that there are different types of dietary patterns following different criteria, either diet index based on a priori knowledge or dietary pattern derived using the empirical approach. That allows to identify patterns between females and males to divide animal and plant products that are related with obesity through statistical models, and we can define different population nutrition patterns such as this, the healthy pattern, the prudent pattern, the Western pattern, and the compensatory pattern, all of them related with health and well-being. Also, population nutrition is related with diabetes prevention systems. For example, you remember the DPS protocol from Finland that were able to avoid promotion from prediabetes to diabetes, or the current preview project in Europe that after a period of weight loss maintenance try to assure that physical activity and dietary intake related to protein can have benefit in this area. The role of IUNS in this area is to investigate and to promote sustainable diet, to study benefit, risk, and cost-benefit effectiveness of micronutrient intervention, and also to promote traditional indigenous food system and nutrition. My third approach is to consider personalized nutrition, the third P. Personalized nutrition is the tailoring of dietary advice to suit an individual based on their phenotype and heritage information. Personalized and precision nutrition is not a novel area. You see, about 25 centuries ago, precision nutrition is related. Nowadays, in the 21st century, we are just trying to move to an integrated metabolomics personalization. We have new tools, but the concept is still alive from many, many centuries ago. The concept is emerging from considering individuals' metabolism, which is related to nutrition, to the phenotype, to the physical activity, to the personality, and of course, under the interaction of environment and genes and microbiota. That involves that personalized disease management need to require assess with care anthropometrics, body composition analysis, energy expenditure, blood samples, personal input in order to generate personalized care. But that involves that we have many different approaches, diet that can be used for this. All of them, when offered in low-calorie diet, have benefit in weight loss. But also, we need to promote for long time weight maintenance. Some approaches are devoted to consider that it's not only important to weight loss in the obese, but maintain the loss of weight for a long time. In this context of personalization, now is emerging two important science, nutrigenomics and nutrigenetics. As you can see here, we are all aware that genes are influencing dietary choices, food intake, have effect on metabolic utilization of nutrients, have genetics is related to control of digestion, absorption, transport, metabolism in general, and we need to consider that. We have important tools like GWAS, genome-wide association studies, but also we are able to identify the effect size of genetic variants associated with BMI. We can just measure the micro and gene expression depending, we can just relate it, as in this example, that to be obese, there is an interaction between carbohydrate intake and a mutation and SNP affecting the beta-3 adrenergic receptor. But again, genetics is related not only with weight loss, but also with weight maintenance. You see here 3 genotypes with different profiles, with different patterns related with weight maintenance. This is to remind that many gene-nutrient interaction should be considered, including mealtime pattern. I can just mention a European project, the Food for Me study, that tried to personalize nutrition by considering the medical history, to consider anthropometrics, to consider phenotypic and genotypic, to get a whole view, a precise view of the individual. This experiment, this trial, involved 4 levels: the genetic dietary advice, personalization based on dietary analysis, personalization based on phenotypic analysis, and personalization based on genomic analysis. This study was able to generate personalized diet depending on the BMI, depending on the waist circumference, depending on the physical activity, depending on glucose level, and depending on cholesterol level. Therefore, this is an example that carriers of a risk allele can receive personalized diet depending on this phenotypical and genetic information. This is another example that the personalization decision algorithm, that we can decide which is the best diet for a participant depending on a genetic test, assuming the weight loss prediction, the associated analysis, and to prescribe a diet based on age, body weight, initial body weight, physical activity, some genetic patterns, and of course, potential interaction. Personalized nutrition needs also to consider ethical aspect. You see here different guides and position on different organisms to perform a safe, secure, and ethical advice related to genetic information. But personalization involves for the future omics. You can see here epigenetics has a role. You can see that methylation changes before and after a dieting period. MicroRNAs are able to identify responder and non-responder. Metabolomics with appropriate biomarker have some value for personalization, to follow the adherence to a diet, to follow the biomarker related with obesity and diabetes, to assess biomarker of incident cardiovascular disease, and also I want to consider the role of microbiota. You know that personalization is related with health and thus biosis. Therefore, we can just perform network analysis of metabolism affecting bacterial TASA in association with T2 diabetes. We know that this is a difficult information to bioinformatically consider. There are differences between countries, there are differences between areas. The dye-induced changes in microbiota are slow and small, but in some cases, it can be used for define diet because there is a correlation of different bacterial groups with weight loss. But it's also another question to consider that there is an interaction between BMA, Prevotella, and age and gender. Therefore, personalization involves a precision medicine content to consider the exposome, the epigenome, the microbiome, the metabolome, the proteome, the transcriptome, the genotype. Considering, of course, physical activity, dietary. This is, as you see, a difficult task, but it's in the arena that we need to consider for a precision nutrition. My last words will be to make a small summary. Precision nutrition from a planetary, population, or personalized perspective require to consider always in all three areas dietary, phenotypical, and metabolomic data. Precision should be based on detail, care, specificity, validity, rigorous control, etc., of as much information, as much factor as possible. This is the new concept. Precision is not only for personalized nutrition. Precision should be implemented in planetary, population, and individual nutrition. Therefore, we need to consider the genome, but also the factors that have an impact on expression, like nutrition, physical activity, environment. Of course, this will generate possibilities to define nutrient requirement at planetary level, at population level, and individual level. But also, we can just have identification of predisposition to nutrient-related disease at a planetary, at a population, at a personal level. And of course, this will be able to prescribe diet with precision. In other words, at planetary level, at population level, and at individual level. Of course, IUNS has also in this area task forces researching and promoting health related with cancer, with precision nutrition, and one dietary quality. Therefore, I think this is my last, is that there is not precision nutrition, the 3PP should consider the genetic background, the family history, likes and dislikes, previous disease, cultural and ethnic factor, allergies and intolerance, physical activity, and omics and epigenetics marks. Therefore, rather than existing an optimal unique diet, there is a range of adequate diet depending on genetic, biological, phenotypical, and cultural variation that need to be considered from a planetary perspective, from a population perspective, from a personalized perspective. Therefore, this is the view of this area, integration, international nutrition, to cooperate and to find that the 3PP is important to achieve health, well-being, quality of life, and at the end of the day, to have a better life for the population. The very last slide is to invite you all to the International Congress of Nutrition in Tokyo, Japan, that hopefully will be held in September 14, 19, 2021, if COVID-2 allows. Thank you very much. I'm ready for question if the moderator allow it.
Okay, I will take my 18 minutes to share with you. Start with introduction, food and nutrition security, future direction, particularly on policy, strategy, and action for nutrition and well-being, and then conclusion. As you know, the population in Asia now, data in August, it's a 4.6 billions, and it's about 60% of global population that very rich in tradition, culture, and local knowledge, but diverse, different in socio-economic, especially nutrition situation and food security. Regarding food and nutrition security, I believe all of you know the definition that agree in 2012. It's a modification of food security to include nutrition in the definition. So food and nutrition security exists when all people at all time have physical, they can grow food. Social mean they can get from the friend, temple, or public. And economics access mean have money to buy food, which is safe and consumed in sufficient quantity and quality to meet dietary need, and also food preference, and is supported by environment of sanitation, health service, and care to allow for healthy and active life. So this is a broad concept, but we have to bring it into practice that I will share with you. Most of my presentation will be coming from the latest publication by FAO about food security and nutrition in the world, and also UNICEF publication of child food and nutrition situation 2019, and also based on the concept of SDG, and also a global nutrition goal as well, and also my personal experiences with regard to undernourished or hunger people. As you see from the screen here, right now, 2019, about 687 million of people are hunger or undernourished. It has been projected that by the year 2030, the number will increase to be 841. However, with COVID-19 pandemic and controlling measure, it will result in rising undernourished and also changing livelihood situation. With regard to percentage of undernourishment, it's most likely that the percentage from 8.9% now to be almost 10% in 2030, or even more because of COVID-19. If we look at the region in Asia, we can see clearly that South Asia will make progress, drop from 13% down to 9.5% in say 10 years. And also Southeast Asia, the yellow line, also doing very well. Of course, Central Asia is quite remarkable, being low already. In average, Asian situation of undernourishment will be very good. With regard to the total number in Asia, data from 2019 will be 55% or 381 million people suffering from hunger. This figure will reduce to be 329 million or 39%. However, in Asia, in Africa or Sub-Saharan region, the percentage and number of hunger will be increased. If we look at prevalence of stunted of under 5 in the world, about 149 million or 21% of under 5 are stunted, and very high in South Asian country and also Sub-Saharan Africa. In Eastern Asia, very little, not much. In Southeast Asia, it varies a great deal from 10 to 25%. In total, it's about 24.7% of children under 5 stunted. Regarding wasted, as you see in this slide, India still have very high prevalence of stunted, over 15%. The rest of Southeast Asian country between 5 to less than 15%. In total in the world is about 49.5 million or 7.3% of under 5 are wasted. With regard to overweight, in the world is about 20 million or almost 6% of under 5 are overweight. India very low, and the rest of Asia vary from 5% to 15%. If we look at the forecast about achieving a global nutrition goal in 2030, actually it's a 2025 first and then 2030. The world is not on course to meet target for stunting, wasting, and overweight. For hidden hunger, or from mainly vitamin A, iodine, and iron, at least 340 million of children under 5 suffer from hidden hunger. In Asia, vary from 64% down to 27%. So what it means is that micronutrient deficiency still being a major problem in this region. With COVID-19 and a consequence of controlling measure, it has a lot of effect. I try to conclude from my inquiry in the Senate that it affects economic situation, unemployment, disruption of trade, tourism, industry, and logistics, and as a consequence, reduction of GDP. This happened all over the world, including Asia. Social increase and unviewed poverty and social inequity. A lot of migration of labor to rural area or return to native countries. Livelihood disruption and also burden of health situation and other. With regard to agriculture and food system and nutrition, it has been clearly shown that during the lockdown, there is a disruption of food chain from production, harvesting, processing, marketing, trade, and consumption. And there is also a tendency of higher prevalence of hunger and malnutrition of the poor and vulnerable group. FAO has projected that the rising number of severe hunger may increase globally from 80 million to 120 million. Of course, we have to see actual data. And there is also more online connection on trade, meeting, or seminar, or conference, and also work from home. With regard to environment, nature has time for recovery, like forest and also deep sea. But plastic use has been increased in medical service and also in food service. So the way forward to deal with food and nutrition. I think this is my summary, that we have to use multi-stakeholder approach, public, private, professional, and people participation. Single entity alone cannot fulfill the gap. It requires also multi-strategic approach, agriculture, food, health, and also social protection system, and also multi-level at global. We have to have a harmonized effort, national, provincial, district, village, household, and down to individual. In the country, it requires national and also local level to coherence in terms of policy, strategy, and action. Recently, UNICEF also confirmed this thought that it requires multi-system approach, health system, water sanitation system, education system, social protection system, to deal with food and nutrition here. You see, system approach. FAO also promote healthy diet. I will not have time to elaborate healthy diet, but in the past we deal with energy sufficiency diet, meaning only energy. But when we move to the second step, we have to think about dietary quality in terms of protein quality, fat quality, vitamin, mineral, to fulfill the need. So this is a nutrient adequate diet. But for healthy diet, we need more than that. We need other micronutrient, antioxidant, bioactive compound. That's why we need more quality, as Professor Purwiyatno mentioned in his lecture. We try to use this system approach in Thailand. And if you look at agriculture, it's food and non-food, we call farming, processing, trade, and consumption. Our ultimate goal is a good health, a good nutrition, good health and well-being, environmental sustainability, also economic prosperity. So agriculture and food production has to respond to consumer demand. Keyword in farming, we may have to decentralize down to area, local area, in terms of zoning. Of course, planning has to be based on information, history of soil, climate, and also production. Then the key thing is we have to promote smart farming and smart farming to use knowledge and appropriate technology. And then GAP and emphasize on productivity and traceability. Then processing, as I mentioned earlier, we have to preserve food and also improve quality at household, SME industry, and then trade and promote consumption at household and school, workplace, restaurant. Fundamentally, it requires a lot of backup system in terms of partnership, multi-stakeholder, 5P, and also reduction of food loss and waste, and also logistic efficiency. Then also backed up by research and development, area-based, capacity building, monitoring and evaluation. The key thing is a farmer should receive fair income when they produce food. I would like to come back again to the community-based approach, that I think eventually we have to promote local and community-based approach in food and agriculture sector for achieving food and nutrition security. It is an integrated program implemented at local level with national commitment, sound nutrition improvement strategy and goal, community action, integrated action with mass mobilization to improve nutrition and reduce or eliminate undernutrition. This diagram, I just modify from my previous diagram that community-based program for food and agriculture with ultimate goal of productivity of high quality, nutritious and safe food. So what it needs is a well-managed, cooperative, smart farmers, smart farming, appropriate technology, GAP, basic hygiene, application of tele-agriculture, food and nutrition education, food processing, as mentioned earlier, e-commerce, other activity. And then community leader require supportive system from the government, either from Ministry of Agriculture, university, or a local wisdom to come up with management program, planning, implementation, monitoring and evaluation. Thailand also tried to apply the concept of mass mobilization, 1 volunteer per 10 households. We use this system effectively in prevention and control of malnutrition, in controlling of HIV/AIDS. Right now, we use volunteer system with health service and community participation, eliminate and control, prevention and control COVID-19. And agriculture sector now also try to look and mobilize to have volunteer in the system. With regard to land use, it has been based on our suggestion by the wisdom of the previous king, that in order for household to be secure in food, they should have paddy rice. They should have also pond or water reservoir. They should also grow vegetable and fruit. So 30%, 30%, 30%, and then 10% for house. If they have more land, they can use land for agriculture for industry. This is for household food security. If they have land, or they can work together and have a so-called common land for village. Again, this system has been used effectively, as I mentioned to you, in the past for nutrition. Of course, nutrition, we deal with human being in human life cycle, from pregnant mother, infant, young children. So we require antenatal care, growth monitoring and promotion, food production for those target vulnerable group, and also specific high quality food like milk or soy, fruit and vegetable to vulnerable group of population. And ultimately, we have to keep in mind all the time that fundamentally, we need effective and food system for food and nutrition security, for economic opportunity, for environmental sustainability, and also social culture and tourism as a fundamental of livelihood and well-being. If we implement those concepts and plan, we will achieve, obviously, SDG 2, zero hunger, no hunger, no undernutrition. At the same time, we can also improve poverty, can improve health and well-being, because adequate nutrition will enhance proper growth and development. At the same time, also enhance good immune system, and then quality education, gender equity, decent work and also economic growth, reduce inequality, and also responsible consumption and production by reduction of food loss and food waste, and then participation. So my conclusion is that food and nutrition security have been always a major global challenge. COVID-19 pandemic with controlling measure has disrupted or affected socio-economic situation, livelihood, agriculture, food and nutrition security. Achieving food and nutrition goal under the SDG require multi-stakeholder, multi-strategic, and multi-level approach. At least promote healthy diet for all. Research, capacity development, monitoring, and evaluation are essential to support policy development, implementation, and evaluation. So thank you very much for your attention.
So my talk, as requested, about current and future of probiotic application and sciences. Okay, I'm going to talk about gut microbiota and health, and it's very related to Professor Alfredo talked previously, and about the functions of probiotic in preventing gut disorder and the emerging application of the probiotics beyond gut function. And also, I would like to highlight the development in probiotic sciences from probiotic to biogenic, and a little bit about probiotic products. And at the end, I will finish my presentations with future direction. Okay, let me start with the gut microbiota of human body. In recent years, there has been a rapid rise in interest of the applications of probiotic food as well as supplement to act as mediators and help end disease. This is because of the ever-increasing evidence of the interactions of microbiota and pathophysiological processes of disease within the human host, as already explained or mentioned by Professor Alfredo. In humans, the gastrointestinal tract harbor approximately 10 to the 14 bacterial cells, which is about 10 times of the number of eukaryote cells in the body. So bacteria contributing to the intestinal niche belong to more than 10,000 different species harboring more than 3 million bacterial genes and amount to biomass of approximately 2 kg. So we shall deduct it by 2 kg our own weight. This bacteria can be considered as an internal organ and provide many functions that are crucial for the host's well-being. Microbes inhabit the human body collectively, forming the human microbiota. The microbiota and its overall genetic material or microbiome actually consisting of bacterium, archaeum, microbiome, virome, which is a virus, and parasitome. However, just the better understanding or many studies has been done on bacterium. So this microbiota create complex and organ-specific and adaptive to the ecosystem, which continually impact the host physiology. Together, they play important part in human physiology and modulating the host's internal environment through influencing digestions, immune development, vitamin production, and impact brain-gut responses of an overall well-being. Therefore, they play a major role in host health. So, where the symbiotic relationship between the human host and its bacterial resident has gained extensive research, especially with particular emphasis on various species of bacteria and their distinct role in health promotion. The human gastrointestinal tract hosts a nutrient-rich environment that support a commensal microbiome, providing crucial function that cannot be carried out alone by the host or by human. The functions of gut microbiota, among others, as a protective function, improving barrier and increasing the resistance to colonization by opportunistic pathogens and secretion of antimicrobial peptides. And also metabolic functions to control of epithelial cell differentiations and proliferation, and also for the metabolisms of dietary carcinogens. This one is also already mentioned by Prof Alfredo previously. And also the metabolic function of the good microbiota is fermentations of non-digestible dietary residues and epithelia-derived mucus ion absorption and salvage of energy. And in the structural function, the microbiota involved in maturations of the intestinal epithelium, inductions, IgA, and regulating the immune system. Therefore, gut microbes are the key to many aspects of human health, including immune, metabolic, and neurobehavioral traits. However, a number of negative effects has been also reported across a wide range of diseases and health conditions, with many associates based on the shift in gut bacterial content and the interaction of metabolites produced following bacterial metabolisms of dietary components. So these figures explain in the left side is the bad, where the bad bacteria dominating our gastrointestinal tract, and the outcome is the disease. And on the right side, where the good bacteria dominating our gut intestinal tract and producing metabolites, which is beneficial for health, such as short-chain fatty acid, indole propionic acid, and TMP. So shifting in the gut bacterial content will give negative effects on health condition and resulting in a wide range of diseases. Okay, the next is about the microbiota diversity and health, and how these microorganisms contribute to our health. A healthy and balanced state marked by high diversity and abundance of microbial population in the gastrointestinal tract, which is we call it as eubiosis, which is dominated by lactic acid and short-chain fatty acids producing bacteria. A pathogenic state of gastrointestinal tract marked by diminished microflora, which is the status we call it dysbiosis, which can be caused by a range of factors, including diets high in processed foods, lack of regular sleep, administrations of antibiotics, and physico-social stress. The microbiota composition is also affected by age. Adults have less diverse microbiota as compared to the young people. Overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria results in an increase of lipopolysaccharides level, which triggers the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines in the gut. Lower bacterial diversity has been reproducibly observed in people with inflammatory bowel disease, type 1 diabetes, atopic eczema, celiac disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and arterial stiffness that in healthy controls. So preventing dysbiosis is the key, as modulating gut bacteria after infection proved difficult. So probiotics and prebiotics have a prominent roles in restoring commensal gut microbiota. So what is the probiotics? So probiotic is a live microorganisms when administered in adequate amounts could give health benefit to the host. So this one, the definition has been adopted globally, these definitions according to WHO. And to be a probiotics microorganism or to be a probiotic bacteria have to go through evaluation from in vitro, in vivo, and clinical trials to prove the health beneficial effect. Not all lactic acid bacteria involved in fermentations are a probiotic. So this one is sometimes misunderstanding happen in the community. That's Professor Hadinsa mentioned before, that not all yogurts are a probiotic, although yogurt could give some beneficial health effect. The probiotics microorganism usually added to food, both fermented and non-fermented, or taken as food supplement. So besides probiotics, there are also prebiotic, which is defined as a substrate that is selectively utilized by host microorganisms, conferring a health benefit. So there is very much relations between what you eat and the composition of your microbiota and the outcome of your well-being. The combinations between probiotic and prebiotics, which is believed to be better effect, is symbiotic. Okay, the concept of probiotic is started from 1907 by Professor Ilya Mechnikov. So this concept is we call traditional probiotic, based on his observation that the regular consumption of fermented dairy products with lactic acid bacteria, such as a yogurt product, was associated with enhanced health and longevity in elderly Bulgarian people. It is believed that some of the bacterial organisms present in the large intestine were a source of toxic substances that contributed to the illness and aging. So acid-producing microorganisms, which is consumed regularly from fermented dairy product, could lead to a prolongation of the lifespan of the consumers. So this theory, it's be adopted measures to modify the flora in the bodies and to replace the harmful microbes by useful microbes to shift from dysbiosis to eubiosis state. The scientific rationale was published by Prof Ilya Mechnikov in the book with the title Prolongations of Life in 1907. So nowadays, many microorganisms, especially from lactic acid bacteria, has been marketed, and many research still has been done on this area. So originally, probiotics were isolated from healthy human, but recent findings and with the development of research and technology, many sources of probiotics are also evident, such as from traditional fermented foods. They mostly belong to a limited list of genera, basically from the genera Lactobacillus and Bifidobacteria. Many of them has been GRAS has been given number generally recognized as safe or listed on QPS or listed as a positive list in any other country. But once we have to know that probiotic properties is strain dependent. Not all species or strains are equal, and therefore, not all yogurts or fermented foods are equal. So besides lactic acid bacteria from Lactobacillus and Bifidobacteria, many other microorganisms from lactic acid bacteria strain that have been permitted and used commercially, including non-lactic bacteria such as Saccharomyces cerevisiae or Saccharomyces boulardii and Bacillus coagulans. Okay, the main beneficial effect of probiotic could be grouped into three groups. First, in the area of maintaining intestinal microbial composition by balancing gut microbiota. So this is to support digestive process, prevention IBS and IBD, and prevention exogenous and endogenous pathogens. So mainly, this one is prevention of the infection. And also probiotic act as a modulation, improving resistance to allergy and stimulate the innate and adaptive immunity and prevent respiratory disease. A probiotic also contribute to the health beneficial effect by metabolic effect through secretion some enzymes, for example, lactase or beta-galactosidase, which is a problem, lactose intolerance is a problem for Asians. About 90% of Asians suffer from lactose intolerance, but the enzyme produced by probiotic and lactic acid bacteria could help in metabolizing lactose. And many others bioactive compounds produced by probiotics act as reducing cholesterol or neurochemicals or as lower mutagenic and enhance metabolisms. Okay, this figure to see that the established and promising of intestinal and extra-intestinal benefit of probiotics. As mentioned before, that probiotics before is focused on the digestive health, such as lactose intolerance, diarrhea, etc. This function has been established. However, there are many other functions because now is the relations between the gut microbiota and well-being is already established. For example, probiotic is also give a promising effect on cardiovascular by producing anti-hypertensive peptides and manage modest elevated cholesterol. as well as in respiratory preventions of viral infection through immune system in respiratory, and also as immunomodulatory, and reduce risk atopic dermatitis, and also others is helping in managing diabetes and obesity. And also now developing the science on relations between gut microbiota with mental health, anxiety, and stress. So there is a communications between gut and brain, and communications between lung and gut, as well as gut and any other organs. Okay, so are all probiotic act similarly? That's the question. If we see here the possible distributions of the mechanisms among probiotics, we see the widespread among studies, the mechanisms that widespread among study probiotic is the colonization resistance. That means that the ability to resist in the gastrointestinal tract and then to reach the colon, and the productions of the metabolites or useful metabolite like short-chain fatty acid, regulations of intestinal transit, normalizations of fat tube microbiota, balancing gut microbiota, and etc., and especially competitive exclusions of pathogens, so inhibiting or helping in curing infection. And the second mechanism, the distribution of mechanisms is frequently observed among strain, which is including vitamin synthesis, direct antagonisms, gut barrier reinforcement, bile salt metabolisms, and neutralization of carcinogen. And still very rare is, which is only present in only a few strains of a given species, is including the mechanisms for neurological effect, immunological effects, with specific immunological effect, and endocrinological effects and production of specific bioactives. Okay, first I would like to little bit highlight the probiotics in preventing gut disorder. We know that in developing country, both non-communicable disease and infective disease is still high, and the diarrhea is becoming one of the burden in developing country, especially for children. And the probiotics, some probiotic has been proved to prevent or to help in curing diarrhea and to prevent diarrhea by productions antimicrobial substances, competition for nutritional substrate with the pathogens and competitive exclusion, as well as enhancement of intestinal barrier functions and immunomodulation. So immunomodulatory probiotics, well, probiotic also serve as immunomodulatory by serving as antigen fragment and then recognized by our immune system. Okay, for the emerging applications of probiotics beyond the gut function, one is in cardioprotective effect of probiotics through mechanisms. One by producing antihypertensive peptides, and the second by reducing cholesterol to direct and indirect effect. And the third is the relations between probiotic and obesity and T2DM. As previously mentioned by previous speakers, that this symbiosis could also affect the obesity and T2DM, and the mechanisms is this symbiosis lead to modulations of gut permeability and then trigger low-grade inflammation and trigger insulin resistance. Or the modulations of gut microbiota by probiotic treatment or dietary treatment influence on glucose and fat metabolism, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce chronic systemic inflammation. And it also has been seen in some human trial. And other area is in colon cancer, and with this it is believed that the some carcinogenic is produced by bacteria in our gastrointestinal tract, and the potential mechanisms by probiotic is by binding the potential carcinogen and also killing directly the microorganisms that produce carcinogen. Okay, lastly, in preventing neurological disorder is through a communication between gut and the brain, and gut microbiota produce some neurotransmitter, which is very useful for the brain, and alternatively also brain stimulates some other metabolisms in our gut, in our intestinal. And also there are some evidence that gut microbiota compositions may be associated with pathogenesis of various neurological disorder, including stress, autism, and etc. And administrations of the probiotic could restore perturbations in commensal microbiota. Okay, also in respiratory infection, the contributions of probiotic through immunomodulatory mechanisms, and this one is also depend on the strain and the specificity of the probiotics. Okay, I would like also to see how the science of probiotic has been developing from probiotic to biogenic. So development of probiotic and related terms. So many terms right now. Since 1907, and the definitions of probiotic has been developed, but since first human gut microbial gene catalog has been established, there are explosion of new terms, including symbiotic, paraprobiotics, postbiotic, psychobiotics, and oncobiotic, which is also derived the new term biogenic. What is the biogenic? Is the products made by or life form, including secretions of and metabolite. So this is the figures of the biogenics consisting of probiotic and prebiotics. Probiotic is including traditional probiotic and next generation probiotics, as well as postbiotic, probiotical, and paraprobiotic, which is non-viable microorganism or sub-products. Okay, this one is the probiotic product consisting of food and drinks and dietary supplement, which is we can include the probiotic as a starter culture or micro encapsulation. And lastly, I would like to highlight the 5 future directions that the benefit of probiotic has been expanded on not only in the gastrointestinal, but also to cardiometabolisms, mental health, and immune system for overall well-being. So the challenges for the researcher is to further investigate the mechanisms behind the effect of probiotics to increase their applicability, using single or multiple strains or new strain with specific function, as well as the characterization of substance produced by probiotic and substantiating their efficacy. So also for the challenges for the industry, growing awareness of potential beneficial effect of probiotics, and also the increase of consumer interest in controlling their own health, especially in this pandemic condition, and increase the probiotic has increased the probiotic global market. Also, this one is as opportunity and challenges for industry. First is to meet the consumer demand, and also regulatory issues include characterization of the probiotics in terms of the products and technological aspect, and substantiations of health benefit, including general or specific. And also need support from the regulatory as a clear guidance and need to harmonize regulation. So it is easy to follow both by a researcher as well as by the industries. Thank you very much, Prof Hadim. That's all my talk.